Welcome everyone. Hello and welcome to our Sunday special lecture. We have our special speaker today, Hina Vora ji. She'll be telling us about the topic Divine Identity and Divine Discourse, the journey of the jobless Tirthankars. So with that, may I please invite Hina ji to enlighten us with her thoughts and wisdom. Thank you. Hina ji, over to you.
Thank you, Subham ji. Vitrag Prabhuna Charanoma Namaskar. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ariyanam, Namo Uvachayanam, Namo Loye Savvasahunam, Eso Panchanamukaro, Savvapavapanasano, Mangalanancha Savvesim, Padamam Havai Mangalam. Dear sisters and brothers, good morning, Om Arham, Jai Jinendra. First of all, with deep gratitude, I thank J.V.B. London and our revered Pujya Samniji for giving me this opportunity to speak in their absence. I am deeply aware that my knowledge is but a drop of compared to their ocean of wisdom, but with utmost sincerity and devotion, I will try my best to share whatever little I can. So, first of all, before we begin, let us first do a short meditation. So, I request you all, before we begin, let us first connect our heart and minds through meditation. So please sit comfortably wherever you are and with your spine straight, with your eyes gently closed. Take a deep breath in and slowly breathe out. One more time. Inhale calmness and exhale restlessness. Calm your mind, calm your body. Now bring your awareness to your inner self, the soul, the Atma, which is pure, eternal, full of light. Visualize a divine flame glowing within you. Just be very calm, steady, and bright. This is your true self, untouched by sorrow, beyond all attachments. Now slowly bring to your mind the image of our Tirthankar Prabhu or Arhant Prabhu, a soul who has conquered inner enemies, who radiates boundless peace, detachment, and compassion. Let your heart be filled with deep devotion. Now silently from your soul repeat the sacred lines that I'm going to say. Let me say it first and then you can repeat within your mind. Namo Arhantanam. I bow to the enlightened souls, the destroyers of inner darkness. May their qualities awaken within me. May their light guide my paths. For 2 minutes, just ponder over these 4 lines. Feel their presence, their grace, their silent strength. Let go of all worries. Let your heart melt in surrender. You are sitting in the divine energy of Arhat Prabhu, who is pure, peaceful, powerful. Now slowly bring your awareness back. Gently move your fingers. And when you are ready, open your eyes with a smile and a heart full of reverence. Thank you. So, as you know, today's topic is on divine identity and divine discourse, the journey of the 24 Tirthankars. So, in this topic, what I would like to tell you as much I can that how their names were chosen and what was their first discourse. So I'm going to start with our first Tirthankar, who is Rishabh Dev Bhagwan. Why was his name Rishabh? So when this pious soul was conceived in Mother Marudeva, she dreamt of 14 auspicious things. The first thing she saw in her dream was that beautiful, a large white bull was entering her mouth. Now, this was in comparison, all the other Tirthankars' mothers saw the elephant first, but Mother Marudeva saw this bull, and also he was mighty and fearless, this bull. Even today, people chant his name when they have fear to feel safe. This is why, as mother saw the bull, he was called Rishabh Dev Bhagwan, and whenever we are in fear, you can always chant his name so that you feel safe. Okay, and he taught us three things: asi, which is weapon handling in order to protect against enemies; masi, that is treading; and krishi, that is farming. So whatever farming people did, then they could trade that, because by then all those kalpa vriksha were all dried up and it was not giving any, like wishing trees. They could not provide whatever they wanted. So he was the first one who taught us this many things. And also he taught the 18 alphabet to Brahmi with his right hand, and with his left hand arithmetic to Sundri. So he also established system of social security, and penal code, pottery, architecture, music, dance, and many other arts and crafts that enrich the human society in the field of knowledge, arts, entertainment, administration, etc., are said to be his contributions. Thus, the image of civilization comes from our eyes when we take his name. And his very first discourse was on the detailed trilogy, which was right perception, right knowledge, and right conduct. Now, I would like to move on to Ajitnath Bhagwan as we have 24. So I am just giving you the gist of it, how their name were chosen and what was their first discourse. Ajitnath Bhagwan. So during the period of Queen Vijaya Devi's pregnancy, that's the mother of Ajitnath Bhagwan, the influence of King Jatashatru, that is father, increased to an extent that even the enemy kingdom sought and negotiated a friendly treaty with him. It became a common practice to say King Jatashatru is invincible. So, when the queen gave birth to a son inspired by the popular lore, the king named the newborn child as Ajit. You know the meaning of Ajit, Ajit. So, who cannot be won is called Ajit. So the second, and also there is a second thought was that they said when the parents used to play satrunja, so it's a game which nowadays we call it chess. The father won, but since Tirthankar's pious soul was conceived in mother's womb, the mother always won. Otherwise, it was always father who won the chess. So naturally, that is why they called him Ajit. Naturally, he was a very natural, detached person from very childhood, declined to be a king, instead of became ascetic in his youth and went to remote forests for penances. So he was very, very detached from the very childhood, and his first discourse was Bhagwan gave his eloquent and magnetic, heart-touching sermons on various forms of religious meditations. So he mainly talked about meditation. I will summarize everything at the end. So the third was Sambhavnath Bhagwan, and whose mother was called Sina Devi. So while this being was still in mother's womb, there were sufficient rain and abundant crops. One day when the king, whose name was Jitari, so his father, Sambhavnath's father, and the queen were happily watching the lush green vegetation all around from the rooftop, the king said, "My dear, this time even the wasteland is filled with grain crops. It seems that all this that is impossible has made possible due to the auspicious influence of the pious soul you carry in your womb. We shall call our son Sambhavnath." So this is what the father felt and the mother felt. You know, you understand the meaning of Sambhav is that which is not possible. When that happens or it can happen, we call it Sambhav. Yes, so that is how his name was chosen, because everything was possible when he was conceived. And his first discourse was on transient nature of mundane existence. Now we come to Abhinandan Swami, the fourth one, and you all know the meaning of Abhinandan is when we congratulate somebody, we say Abhinandan. So it means congratulations. Now, why was this name chosen? The soul dwelling in the womb of the queen Siddhartha, his mother's name was Siddhartha, radiated a soothing and pacifying influence upon the outer world. The remarkable transformation swept through the kingdom. People, regardless of age, caste, and creed, of status, were suddenly filled with feelings of humility and fraternity. Everyone began greeting one another with respect and warmth, politeness and refined manners, irrespective of age, caste, creed, and status. Politeness and polished manners became the thing in vogue. Thinkers, sages, scholars, even the augurs who practiced deep spiritual insight confirmed that this wave of gentleness was no coincidence. The aura of this pious soul, still in the womb, was influencing the hearts of minds of all. The effusion of politeness and mutual respect was a divine effect of the soul's presence. So, as the influence of the soul became evident in the widespread exchange of greetings and goodwill, the king named the son Abhinandan, meaning salutations or greetings. So for a long time, Abhinandan Swami moved among the people, showing the right path to millions of beings, guiding them toward truth, non-violence, and inner peace. Now we move on to the fifth Tirthankar Prabhu, which is Sumati Nath Bhagwan. As you all should know, Sumati, so which is we call like Achi Buddhi, Sari Buddhi in Gujarati. So this is what the name was chosen. Why? It's like a positive knowledge. So in those days, there used to be a law that if there was no child in the family, then the total wealth would be acquired by the king. So there was a man who lived with two wives. Unfortunately, he passed away, and between two wives, they had a son. Now, since the husband passed away, both the wives started quarreling for a child. Why? Because whoever gets the child is going to get all the wealth of the husband. So then they came to King Meg of Ayodhya, who was Sumatinath's father. King could not decide, while the mother, Queen Mangalavati, who is the mother of Sumatinath, said, I will be the judge for this problem. And she asked him, leave it to me, I will solve this problem, because king could not solve this problem. So let the child be in, so how she tried to solve the problem is she told both the ladies, let the child be in the custody of the state until the pious soul that I am carrying in my womb is born. Then he will decide who is the true mother. So as soon as the real mother hears, one of the real mother hears this, she starts crying and says, don't do that. I will not be able to survive without seeing my child. Let the other lady have the child. At least I will get to see the child once in a while. So 9 months is too long to wait without seeing my son. So then Mrugavati, Sumatinath's mother, decided that she was the actual mother. Thus, while Sumatinath was still in the mother's womb, he had the right knowledge. Even today, it is believed that if you want the child to be bright, then chant Sumatinathai Namaha Jap. Okay? So, and he established the four-pronged religious fold. As you all know, Sadhu, Sadhvi, Shravak and Shravika. So he's the one who established it during his period. We come to number 6, which is Padma Prabhu Swami. And Padma Prabhu Swami's mother was called Sushima, had a desire to sleep on a bed made up of lotus flower. As you all know, Padma means lotus. The newborn had a soft pink glow like lotus flower, which is why the king named him Padma Prabhu, Padma Prabh. Okay, and his first discourse was he first established of Dharma Tirtha, so that the four and the propagated right religion for a very long time. Then we come to number 7, Supashwanath Prabhu. So during the pregnancy of Mother Prithvi Devi, she did not lose her normal shapely figure. As you all know, all the ladies generally they lose their original figure while carrying a baby. Actually, his mother, as her flanks remained very attractive even though when she was pregnant, the child when he was born was named Suparswa. Now looking at and also looking at the falling leaves of the tree and wilting the flowers, he became aware of the transient nature of life, and this is how he took the diksha, and he started he got keval gyan, and when he did get keval gyan after establishing dharma tirth again in his time, for a long time he worked for this spread of right knowledge. Then we come to Chandra Prabhu Swami, who is number 8. His mother was called Queen Laxmana. During her pregnancy, one day was looking at the splendorous and glowing full moon. All of a sudden, she had a strange desire to drink a glowing streak of moonlight. The king cleverly managed to satisfy this strange desire of a pregnant mother. On the 13th day of the dark half of the month, Posh, the queen gave birth to a healthy son, and who was fair and very glowing like a moon. That is why he was called Chandra Prabhu Swami. So he was also glowing like a moon. Chandraprabhu Swami became ascetic in the prime youth of his life, and just in 3 months became omniscient with acute spiritual practices. For a considerable long period, he continued to enlighten people and propagate the true religion. Then we come to number 9, Suvidinath. We also call him Puspadanta, as during the period of pregnancy, his mother, Queen Rama, developed a strange capacity to develop process for doing even the most difficult tasks. Everyone was astonished at her skill. So when the child was born, the king accordingly named him Suvidi, which means correct procedure. Yes. And during the teaching period of the child, the mother got another craving of playing with flowers. As such as he was also popular, and that is why he was popularly known as Puspadanta, flower tooth. Yeah, so while he was teething, this is what happens to the mother. So he became ascetic at a very early age as well, and attained omniscience only after 4 months of religious spiritual practice. Now, extinction of four religion happened just after his nirvana. This is very popular. So after his nirvana, and wealth and money took place instead of the spiritual discipline, the tradition of the fourfold religious order established by Bhagwan Rishabdev gradually declined following the nirvana of Bhagwan Suvidinath Puspadanta. In the aftermath of his departure, the monastic community was the first disintegrated, and then eventually a time came when not a single ascetic remained. In absence of monks, and religious discourses were conducted by lay followers, or we call them Shravaks. As time progressed, material wealth began to extend and dominant influence over spiritual values. The fundamental principles, such as five great vows, including ahimsa and truthfulness, began to fade from public consciousness. The internal discipline and spiritual sincerity that once defined the tradition gradually gave way to ritualism and the transactional exchange of wealth. What remained was an outer shell of the religion, hollowed of its ethical core and governed by disarray. So this is what happened after Puspadanta Prabhu, which is very, I thought was important to know. So I thought I will let you know this as well. Now we come to number 10, whose name is Sitalnath Prabhu. So his father, King Dridhartha, and had an acute burning sensation in his body at one time and really high fever. So his wife, mother, Queen Nanda, is the mother of Sital Nath Prabhu, carried the pious soul in her womb, and she put her palm on the father's body, and he felt soothing relief. Until then, they tried so many things, but nothing worked. So even today, people chant his name, Sital Nathai Namaha, to stop any fever or acute burning sensation. Now, Sitalnath Prabhu, long time wandered and preaching for a long time after he achieved Keval Gyan. And this is how his name was chosen, and he did such a great thing to propagate religion. Now we come to number 11, Shri Ansnath Prabhu. At a certain Derasar, so what happened is there was a Derasar in the town where he was born. So at that Derasar, a Shaya means a bed, which is like, and just the bed was being like prayed as a deity, was worshipped, and it was worshipped regularly. Now whoever sits on or lies on that saya, that bed, will be harmed, and this was just the belief in the town. So when after the Lord's life came into womb of Queen Vishnu, so the when he was in mother's womb, the thought came to mother's mind, that it is true that idols of gods and guru are worshipped, but it is not heard anywhere that Saya, the bed, is worshipped. So what she did, she sat on that saya, and due to the influence of that fetus, the demigod could not do anything and left the saya and ran away. So after that, King Vishnu Raja, so the father of the unborn child yet, started using that bed and realized the glory of the fetus. And when that fetus was born, he was named Shreyansa. Okay, so long time reign. What his was a long time reign, but just in 2 months he achieved omniscience. It was during his period that the being that was to be Lord Mahavir Bhagwan reigned as the first Vasudeva, namely Tripristha. Okay, so this was another very important period in our Jain religion. I come to number 12, whose name is Vasu Pujya. Now, after the arrival of Lord's fetus in mother's womb, Queen Jaya Devi, Indra came again and again and showed Vasu means jewel and worshipped the parents. So what happens after the arrival of fetus, and the mother was called Jaya Devi, and Indradev Bhagwan came again and again, showered Vasu, that is jewels, and worshipped the mother. So when the fetus was born, it was called Vasu Puja. And also there is belief that as Indra is also known by the name of Vasu, the newborn was called Vasu Pujya, meaning son venerated by Vasu. So there are two beliefs that why he was called Vasu Pujya. Okay, and due to intensity of his spiritual practice, achieved omniscience in only 1 month. So he's the one who took shortest period to achieve omniscience. He established four-pronged religious fort and preached for a long time. Now we come to number 13, whose name was Vimalnath Bhagwan. During the pregnancy of mother, in spite of that, the mother's name was Shyama, and her face was radiated and soothing glow. Her temperament also became very congenial, kind, and generous. When the child was born, the whole atmosphere was also filled with soothing glow. So, inspired by this spread of purity, the king named his newborn son Vimal. You all know Vimal. Mal is dirt, but Vimal means pure, untarnished, and that is why they called him Vimal. So he for 2 years spiritual practice, then he achieved omniscience and he established religious fort. We come to number 14th, whose name is Anantanath Prabhu. So during the pregnancy, the mother, Queen Suyasha Devi, dreamt of a very long strand of beads whose ends were invisible. The power and the glory of the king Simsen also increased manifold during this period. Accordingly, the newborn was named Ananta. What does Ananta means? Which means endless. No Ant, which is Ant means the end, but Ananta, which has no end. And that is how they called him Anant. So there are two reasons, because the bead that she saw, there was no end to it. Okay. Now, and his first discourse elaborated the subject of fundamentals, that is matter and life. Then we come to number 15, Dharmanath Prabhu. So during the pregnancy, the queen Suvrata, wife of King Bhanu Raja of Ratanpur, devoted all her time to religious activities. Even the queen, king, and all other members of the family were inclined to devote maximum time to various religious activities like charity, righteousness, finances, and studies, etc. So due to the religious influence during the pregnancy period, the king gave him name Dharmanath, because as you say, everybody started doing lots and lots of dharma during that time. Now, his first discourse mainly dealt with the subject of form and ill effects of passions. A large audience benefited from this eloquent discourse. So this is what he did, and mainly is the passions that he talked about in his first discourse. Then we come to number 16, Shantinath Bhagwan. As you know, he is a very powerful Tirthankar we always chant his name. When he descended into mother's womb, whose name was Ajira, wife of King Viswasen of Ikshvaku clan in Hastinapur. So once a great storm struck Hastinapur. There were heavy rain and several other natural calamities. An epidemic followed, and hundreds of people began dying every day. The people pleaded with the king to save them, but he was helpless. Gravely disturbed by this series of calamities, the king took a vow he would neither eat nor drink until peace and normality return to his kingdom. So, moved by his harsh vow of King Viswasen, the king of gods himself appeared before the king and said, "O king, why are you so troubled? Is there a death in a land where the divine trio, Chintamani, Kalpavruksha, and Kamdanu exist? No." So these wish fulfilling treasures, the celestial gems, tree, and cow, are symbols of abundance and harmony. So he was trying to say, you have all this. And how he had all this is the embodiment of the peace is already in your palace. It is in Queen's Queen Achira Devi is carrying that divine presence within her womb, and yet you remain distressed. This surprises me. So he made king realize that how pious the soul was. So then Indra, the king of gods, sang Panigrahya. So it is a sacred hymn and in praise of unborn Tirthankar, and advised the king that let the queen, ascend to the rooftop of the palace and sing this hymn. Afterwards, let her cast a glance across the entire kingdom. Her peaceful gaze will dispel misery whenever it reaches, wherever it reaches. As for so, as a fourfold peace returned to Hastinapur, the storm calmed, the epidemic ended, and the people rejoiced when the child was born. He brought with him an aura of serenity. Because of the calamity influence, because of the, calming, Michamidugram, because of the calming influence that prevailed during Queen Ajira's pregnancy, the newborn was named Shanti Kumar. So Shanti means peace, as you all know. So then there was no more death. This is the reason many of our acharyas suggesting to do Shantinath Bhagwan's jap during, as you all remember, this jap was done the most during the COVID period of time, as also can they suggested so many times, even Samiji suggests us that santi kare loe, whenever we are restless, this is what she advises us to do. Also, it can be chanted in our mind, and and that makes us feel at ease. So um, and his first discourse was on the subject of disciplining the senses. Um, then we move on to number 17, whose name is, as you all know, Kuntunath Bhagwan. During the pregnancy, Queen Sri Devi saw a heap of gem stones, which those gemstones were known as Kuntu. In her dream, this inspired King Sursen, so the mother of Kuntunath Bhagwan, to name him as Kuntu Kumar. Now, his first discourse was on the subject of inner purity. Then we come to number 18. His name was, as you know, Arnath Prabhu. Beside the 14 great dreams that precedes the conception of any Tirthankar. Queen Mahadevi, the mother of Arnath Prabhu, also saw a gem-studded wheel. Wheel is R, Ara. We call it Ara is means wheel. So Arnath Prabhu, that's how they name. So accordingly, after the birth, King Sudarshan named the boy Kumar because the mother saw the wheel of that gem. Yes. And his first discourse was on the subject of how to win over enemies like attachment and aversion. After spending a long period of time, which was like around 21,000 years, promoting and advocating religion, he finally arrived at Samit Sikar and Nirvana, got Nirvana. Okay, so that's how his name was chosen. Then we come to number 19, Mallinath Prabhu. Queen Prabhavati, the mother, had the desire to sleep on a bed made up of fragrant flowers of 5 colors and to smell a bouquet of flowers, which is like maladam all the time. She wanted to always she wanted always that bouquet of flowers. So the mother's craving for a flower bouquet inspired the king, to name the girl as Mallikumari. She was very fond of having bouquet all the time, so herself as well, not only the mother. It was unprecedented for the Tirthankar to be born as a girl. Everyone knows about this. Everyone was surprised, but even the Almighty is helpless when the karma participates in action. As you know, she was born as a lady because of her past karmas. And in her first discourse, she discussed on the subject of philosophy of equanimity. She propagated equanimity very well. We come to number 20, Muni Surat Prabhu. The king Sumitra announced that since the fetus had descended into the womb of Queen Padmavati, she took a variety of good vows and led a life as a discipline as an ascetic. As such, the newborn was named as Muni Surat. Vows. She took so many vows, like ascetic. So she almost lived a life as a Muni, and that is why they called him Muni Surat. Swami, and his first discourse was on the subject of scriptural and applied philosophy. His long life devoted to spread the true religions. Also in his period was an important period for Jain prehistory, as his followers included Chakravarti, Vasudev, Prati Vasudev, Baldev, and Vasudev like Ram, Ravan, Lakshman. And his elder brother Vishnu Kumar also became famous for his pioneering efforts of saving the Jain organization from the operation of Minister Namichi. And also there is one more thing, that the festival of Raksha Bandhan is celebrated in the memory of that event. So this was the important things happened during his life. Then we come to number 21. We Naminath Bhagwan. So while peace-loving King Vijay, the father of Naminath Bhagwan, was ruling our Mithila, some very powerful kings attacked Mithila Nagri, so the city of Mithila. King was at loss to find a peaceful solution and was worried. An expert well-wisher told the king that the pregnant queen should go to the roof of the palace and look at the attacking armies. The queen followed the instruction and threw a loving glance at the large armies stationed on the field outside the town. The aura of pious soul in the womb was so powerful that it cast a pacifying spell on the attackers. The king, who were sure to win the battle, surrendered and bowed before King Vijay as well. Now, this incident inspired the king to name the newborn Nami Nath. Nami means bow down. So everybody bowed down to the father when they were in the battlefield, and this is how the father chosen the name Nami Nath. Everybody bowed down. Now, his first discourse was on the subject of right perception. As you all know, right perception is very, very important for anybody to go further on the path of spirituality, especially in Jainism. Then we come to number 22, Aristanemi. Why was he called Aristanemi? Because as the queen, Mother Shiva, Devi had seen a disc of Arista, James. They called him Aristanemi. The name of Lord Neminath transports us to the zenith of compassion. Also, he was a cousin of Sri Krishna. So we know a lot more about Aristanemi. So, and he also greatly contributed towards vegetarianism, compassion, and ahimsa. Number 23, we come to Parshvanath Prabhu, as during the pregnancy, Queen Vama Devi one night saw a snake slithering on the bed near the husband, who is King Ashwasen's flank. She woke him and saved him from the impending danger. This is why the parent named him Parshva. Now, his name reminds us to be in equanimity every time. As you know, Kamat and Dharnendra, he had equanimity towards both. And this is how it teaches us that we have to be treat everybody equally. His attitude towards Kamat and Dharnendra, it was always the same, even though one troubled him so much and the other was protecting him. And this teaches us that to be in equanimity all the time. He propagated the four-dimensional religion, which is Chaturyam Dharma. I will come to this at the end for the upliftment of the soul. So he is the one who propagated Chaturyam Dharma as well. But that was the end of Chaturyam Dharma. I will come to it at the end. Now, the last one, Mahavir Bhagwan. Now, is so much said about Mahavir Bhagwan that there's only few things I'm going to talk about here. Is since the day this child was conceived, the family was blessed with increasing goodwill, respect, wealth, and mutual affection. Cash, gold, and gems had increased in the treasury. The public also gained health, peace, happiness, and goodwill. Thus, since the moment this soul had descended, there had been a continued enhancement in glory, health, wealth, and fame. And for his life, we learn endless lessons, like many tortures and troubles he endured. His infinite kindness for the downtrodden stands out as true example of compassion. And his first discourse of Lord Mahavir was actually, if you all know, it was a failure in the context of spiritual gains, as none of those present took any vow, as they were all God, who cannot take vows, but just eulogize the truth, discipline, and virtues. But otherwise, you all know what he preached. From him, it was Pancha Mahavrat, that is what he preached. So, not Chaturyam Dharma, but since then, it was 5 vows that was accepted, and that is what he preached. Thus, as far as the naming and the first discourses are concerned, you can see that they all had these extraordinary qualities from the day they conceived in their mother's womb and made such a big impact from their lives that just by taking their names, we get energized with the good qualities that every one showed. Yes. Now, one thing I would like to point out that that although all Tirthankars mainly preached very similar thing, technically first Tirthankar and last Tirthankar gave the 5 vows preaching, and the very clear thing in Uttaradiyan Sutra, there is one chapter which is called Keshi Gautamiya, so which shows that Keshi was the disciple of Lord Parshvanath Prabhu, and Gautam Swami was the disciple of Mahavir Bhagwan, and evidently they both meet at one place and they talk about, although that we are following the same dharma, why have you been taught 4 vows, and why have we been taught 5 vows? So they discuss, and at the end they come to this conclusion that every Tirthankar, although they taught about the same thing, which ahimsa, satya, no stealing, brahmacharya, and no possessions. But they had to change it according to the people at the time, that how they will understand it. As you know, the followers of the middle 22 Tirthankar in between, they were very simple yet very wise, and they will take anything what you tell them, and they easily understood and practiced the fundamentals. However, the followers of the last Tirthankar and the first Tirthankar, the last Tirthankar were both ignorant and perverted. Therefore, Mahavir Bhagwan made necessary and pragmatic amendments in the codes of subcodes to suit the prevailing conditions. Okay? And the first Tirthankar, the people were ignorant, but they were simple. So this was the difference, and that is how all the Tirthankar, even though their first discourse, as you heard, that they were a little bit different from each other, but they all were based on these 5 vows that we have been given by our last Tirthankar Prabhu, Mahavir Bhagwan. Okay, so now is the time if anybody has any question for me.
Jai Jinendra, Hina Ji.
Ji.
Thank you very much to Samni Ji. I'm so obliged they have given you the opportunity. I just wanted to ask, when you were talking about the 11th Tirthankar, Shreyans Nath Prabhu, then you talked something about Triprisht, or I think I miss. Can you please explain that again?
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to know number 11, Shreyans Nath?
Yes, please.
Prabhu?
Yes, please.
Okay, surely. Yes. And so Shreyans Nath Prabhu, in that time, there were a lot of some blind faith also was prevailed. It's not only now, but there are some very blind faith are prevailed. And there in the same town where the king and queen lived, what happened? They were praying this saya. Saya it's a bed. It's a bed, and they were praying that Shaya, because they were all scared, they had this blind faith that this Shaya is being used by some demon, some demigods, and the god is going to be very upset if we use this Shaya. So they used to pray instead of using that as a bed. Yeah, so that time, the mother who was carrying this fetus of our Lord thought, oh, this is wrong, how can it be possible, I don't believe in this. So she had that very strong, because the fetus was in her womb, she got that strength of taking a risk and sit on that bed, on that saya. Yeah, that why nothing will happen, because one cannot be praying saya just because it is protected by this demigod. And that is what so she sat on it, and that is why his name was chosen as Shreyansa. Is that clear?
Yes, yes, it is clear. Thank you very much, Hina Ji.
No problem. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Right. If there is no question, I would like to end my topic for today just by maybe I think we can sing Logasa or Pesatia Chan when I sing it. If all of you can sing with me, that will be nice. So let's end our session by singing Pesatia Chan. श्रीनेमीश्वर सम्भव स्वाम सुविधि धर्म शान्ति अभिराम अनंत सुव्रत नमीनाथ सुजान श्री जिनवर मुझ करो कल्याण अजित नाथ चंदा प्रभु धीर आदिश्वर सुपार्श्व गंभीर विमलनाथ विमल जगभान श्री जिनवर मुझ करो कल्याण मल्लीनाथ जिन मंगल रूप पंचबीस धनुष सुंदर स्वरूप श्री हरनाथ नमो वर्धमान श्री जिनवर मुझ करो कल्याण सुमति पद्मा प्रभु अवतंस वासुपूज्य शीतल श्रेयांस कुंतो पार्श्व अभिनंदन भान श्री जिनवर मुझ करो कल्याण इन परे श्री जिनवर संभारिए दुख दारिद्र विघ्न निवारिए 25 से 65 परमान श्री जिनवर मुझ करो कल्याण इन भनंता दुख नावे कदा जो निज पासे राखे सदा दरिये पंच तनु मन ध्यान श्री जिनवर मुझ करो कल्याण श्री जिनवर नामे वांछित मिले मन वांछित सहु आशा फले धर्म सिंह मुनि नाम निधान श्री जी वर मुझे करो कल्याण श्री जी वर मुझे करो कल्याण. Thank you very much. Before I end, one thing came to my mind, that this is what shows us that nowadays, even when we name our children, grandchildren, we should try and think of the meaningful names, so that it brings those virtues into that newborn baby as well. Thank you very much for listening to me today, and Jai Jinendra to everybody.
Thanks.
No, sure.
Thank you so much, Hina Ji.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Omaram Bhabi, that
Yeah.
was very insightful topic about Jovis Tirthankars. We are all grateful to you, Omaram.